Good evening. My case was on the Elise versus Adam Marks Hotel. The case was basically about a woman named Maria Elise who began working for this hotel or for the restaurant in the hotel called the Bravo as a hostess in August of 1992. Um, 2 years later, she had been promoted to assistant manager, room service manager, and manager on duty. Around that time, Patrice Diaby was hired as the banquet manager at the Adams Mark Hotel. Elise, Elise testified that Diaby would make comments about how beautiful she was and asked her out. He would send her flowers and stay before close and watch her work. She didn't report this because she didn't find it so offensive, but she did find it a little bit of annoying that she would reject him and he would still, do the same thing over and over every day. So she just ignored it. She didn't complain about it or anything because she didn't find it offensive. A month later, things started to get worse, and she testified that Diaby would turn her around and pin her up against the wall and kiss her as she walked towards the back of the restaurant to clean up. He would press against her face so hard that uh, it was hard for her to push him off. She reported this incident the next day to the general manager, and he confronted Diaby about it. But of course, Diaby denied pinning her against the wall. He would make up other things to make it seem like it was Elisa's fault and made it seem as if she were the one who came onto him and tried kissing him. Elise complained to the general manager again a year later about his behavior, and this time it was more hostile as he would criticize the way that she worked and how she ran the restaurant when he didn't even work in the restaurant. The general manager ignored her complaints. Diaby continued making sexually explicit comments to Elise, and then she complained to the manager of the restaurant, Geraldine Franz. Franz didn't do anything about it either and didn't report these comments to the director of personnel or document the complaint in Diaby's personal file. So then she went ahead and complained to the director of personnel herself, and she also complained to the director of food and beverages, and no one paid attention to her. The food and beverage director actually told her to just ignore it, and she had to work her way around Diaby. She never heard anything back from the hotel, and two other employees also complained about Diaby's behavior, and the director of personnel failed to take any action. The executive chef of the restaurant also testified that he had heard Diaby making comments about wanting to have sex with Elise. Even after all of this, they still weren't taking any actions, so Elise decided to finally take the next step and contacted an attorney after she received a bad evaluation from the general manager. I'm sorry, from the director of food and beverages. She figured that she received this bad evaluation because she had been complaining about Diaby. So she um, she went ahead and complained about this to her attorney. So her attorney wrote a letter to the new general manager, and the next day after that, Diaby found her in the parking lot before she was leaving. When she was already about to get into her car to leave work, he pushed her up against her car and started telling her a bunch of, he sexually assaulted her and told her a ton of things that made her feel uncomfortable. So, due to her emotional and physical condition, she was not able to return to work, and that's why the attorney wrote another letter. After investigating the complaint, the general manager suspended Diaby, but could not claim that the incident actually occurred, so he had to let Diaby return to work. 2 years after that, in 1996, Elise filed a lawsuit against Adam Marks, claiming that she was sexually harassed by Diaby in violation of Title VI and the THRA. As a result, she contends she was constructively discharged from the Adam Marks and sought compensatory and punitive damages, as well as back pay, reinstatement, and attorney's fees. A jury trial ensued and a verdict was returned in favor of Elise. She was awarded $400,000 in compensatory damages and $55,550 in back pay. The district court awarded attorney's fees and litigation expenses in the amount of $187,045.95. This timely appeal followed. The Adams Mark claims it is entitled to judgment as a matter of law on all claims related to the incidents that took place on December 28, 1995, because it took prompt and effective remedial measures after receiving Elise's complaints on November 21st, 1995. The Adams Mark contends it cannot be held liable for constructive discharge of Elise or for claims for back pay. The Adams Mark also submits that it is entitled to a new trial because the jury's verdict in favor of Elise was not supported by the weight of the evidence or in the claims for back pay. So they wanted a new trial, but in determining whether a verdict is so excessive that appellate review is proper, the court must find the verdict to be shocking or to manifest plain injustice. This court will only, if the jury's award is contrary to all reason, the Adams Mark has failed to demonstrate that the jury's awards are shocking or contrary to all reason. Therefore, Elise won the trial. Thank you, and that is all.